Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, episode 378, Thriving 4 Years After Sudden Loss, an interview with widow Ann Chilman.
Welcome to the Widowed Mom Podcast, the only podcast that offers a proven process to help you work through your grief, to grow, evolve, and create a future you can truly look forward to. Here's your host, Master Certified Life Coach, Grief Expert, Widow, and Mom, Krista St-Germain.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of the podcast. I always so appreciate when one of my widowed clients is willing to come on the podcast and share their story so that you can benefit. You may not relate to every detail about Ann's loss. You may not relate to every area of Ann's growth, but I think you're going to get quite a lot out of what she has learned in her 4 years of widowhood, and I hope it really helps you. So with that, let's jump into my interview with Ann Chilman. Okay, welcome Ann to the podcast. I'm happy you're willing to come and talk about your story.
Thank you, Krista. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited to talk to you about
We
everything.
tried for the listeners. We tried. It's sometimes it takes a minute to get these to get the schedules and the tech and the things aligned, but here we are. So let's start by just having you kind of introduce yourself. Tell listeners how you got here, a little bit about yourself, whatever you would like people to know.
So my name's Ann Chilman, and I got here because we lost my husband, Chili, back on April 1st, 2022. It was a sudden loss. He was driving home from work and had a sudden heart attack. He was at a stoplight at the time and luckily kept his foot on the brake, didn't cause any other people to have another accident. But I found out that he passed away when I got to the emergency room, not knowing that was even a potential. So very sudden. And we have two daughters at the time. Our daughters were 15 and 9. And the way that our family was set up was he was such a great father, and just it was always both of our lifelong dream to be parents and be in a marriage, and very much partners. I was more of a breadwinner and was out in a leadership role for a company that I've worked for now 28 years, traveling a bunch. And he was the at-home parent, worked for an accounting firm that really supported him technology-wise and flexibility-wise. So he was their go-to parent. He was their best friend, all that kind of stuff. So as you can imagine, it ended up being a pretty big, devastating, sudden, shocking loss for all of us, and really turned our lives upend, as anyone's loss would be that a widow faces. So that was kind of the unique nature, and I ended up, I think, finding my way to you. Is that the question, or just a little background?
Sure.
On us?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's
I ended up finding my way to you about a year after that loss. I had really spent a bunch of time. I had already lost both of my parents and my brother in an accident, and had some pregnancy losses, and had worked through a lot of grief. So I had kind of a team of people that I went to that really helped us with early loss. But I was shifting into a moment where I realized I needed to work on me. I was pushing a lot of emotion down and really thinking my way through everything, and really got me so far until the emotions got really big, as you would expect. And I knew I needed to focus in on me and invest in me to be able to, I really wanted to move forward to the life I love. That's one of your tagline, is what really drew me to you. So that was kind of my turning point, was how do I shift into post-traumatic growth and make sure that my girls and I can still dream big and make a life happen, even though it's so hard without him with us.
Yeah. Since you had experienced quite a bit of loss before Chili died, what do you remember about the differences between his loss and the other losses that you had experienced?
Yeah, so I had experienced losses with long illness. And then also, my brother passed away after a tragic accident and rather quickly. So I had gone through both of those. So the difference was much more in the way that it felt. I remember as a widow, my loss of Chile, my heart just, I felt it in my heart. My heart was broken, and I was so in shock for the first 6 months. You do a really terrific job of anchoring us in what our brain is going through, even and neurologically what's going on, along with emotions, all the things. But I do remember that sensation of going out into the world and looking for him everywhere. And, my brain just automatically doing that. I also am a big problem solver and really good with my brain, and I can detach from situations and just move forward. And that's what I did. And we have this great community around us that just took care of us. And I knew who to ask, and I was open to help. But I think the difference this time was it just was so heartbreaking. And so the secondary losses were so in in the DNA of our lives. And it's so different from a loss of a parent or my brother who lived in another state for me.
Yeah. If you could go back in some of the earlier days after he died, what would you tell yourself? Any advice you would give yourself or things you would tell yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that I was reflecting on that a little bit. I don't think that I've grown so much through these past 4 years that I would tell this person, it's okay to let go and feel your feelings, get out of your brain a little bit and get into your intuition. And that's been my life lesson through all of this. But that person, before all this growth, um, she was leaning into amazing friends and family who were just loving on us and making sure that we had every need met. And I work for a company that's so supportive, and they offered me a role that allowed me to be home with the girls and take a pause on my career, but that took my identity away from me. Like a lot of different things that were trade-offs. But I had a friend, I have a friend who, uh, I don't, how life works. I have a couple of girlfriends who lost their fathers to the same type of heart attack, similar ages, and their mothers did such an amazing job of getting their family moving forward. And they both were reaching out to me to say, here's what the girls might be feeling. And one of them was just like, imagine Dory telling you to just keep swimming and, do what
Oh,
you need to do. So like I would get the girls to school and take to the bed and do what I could that day, and then get myself back up and go pick them up. And we had a brand new puppy at the time. And sometimes I'd drive over to the school with the puppy and get the girls out so they could get a breather. And so what I would tell myself is do what you need to do. You talk about this all the time. There's so many expectations, and people don't always understand what this loss is like, and they really want you to be doing better. And it's okay to be where you're at, and just make sure you are taking care of yourself, um, and allowing the people who love you and who want to be there for you to do that. And then the one thing was I gravitated towards the people who were safe. And you know what I mean? Like there are people who love you and they just don't know how to show up for a widow. And that doesn't mean they don't love you any less. It isn't a safe place to be sometimes because of our emotions and everything we're facing. And then there are people who just feel safe, know how to be there for you. And it's okay to go there for the support and love that you need. You don't owe it to the one that doesn't know that, you just need to do
yeah,
that for yourself.
absolutely. Because some people can be a witness and be with you in it, and some people just don't have the capacity. And sometimes so shocking to see that the people you think are going to be the ones that can be there and be safe in that way actually don't end up being those ones.
That's right. That's right. We ended up my brother and I are very close. He was living in Scotland at the time with his family. He came out and spent almost a month with us after we lost Chile, helped me get things lined up and everything. But he was on another, an ocean away. And so we had a family kind of, my girlfriend whose family lost their dad in a similar way. They pulled us in for some holidays, Christmas, and a few other things. And it felt like an amazing place because they moved forward and all of them have the kind of lives that the girls and I want, which, family and love and careers. And they built something afterwards that they're really proud of. And um, what a blessing that was for us. But it also gave the kids didn't want to be faced with the memory of their dad at the holidays because it was still so devastating and hard. And a coping mechanism that first year was accepting that invitation and stepping out of that. And I know it was hard for our family not to have us there, but it was good for us. And I think it really helped all of us. And I really was just really clear. And I know you helped me with this. My priorities were like provide for the family. And I was in there before Chili died. And now they've shifted to top is the girls and me. And I never was a priority in there. And now I am. And that's one of the other big things I've gotten out of this whole experience. And that doesn't shift. And it really makes these choices easy. And I have my own back. I learned that from you. And I'm my own best friend. It wasn't that before. And it all just, all of this just reinforced that along the way.
A lot of women struggle with making themselves a priority. What was it that helped you switch there?
I made it about my girls. So making myself a priority, I wasn't able to do it just because it's the right thing to do. I did it because one of my children developed a chronic medical condition, and we had several long hospitalizations, and it disrupted her school. She had to withdraw from school and do online school, and she's now doing amazing, and all of the medical intervention has worked, and she's got kind of a normalcy to her life. But that was probably second to the first year after losing Chile, one of the hardest things that I've been faced with as a parent and then as a person as well. And I was finding myself, because I wasn't dealing with my emotions, I wasn't prioritizing myself in the hospital, kind of losing it, not like losing it, but not showing up the way I wanted to. And my daughter needed me to be the way I wanted to be. And I knew that I had to work on myself to be the parent that I wanted to be. And I also knew that I was pushed to the limit and beyond. And if I didn't do it, we were all going to be in trouble. So I was kind of forced into it. But I also sought some help with a local parenting coach, and she had me working on myself right away. And I got the message like, oh, to be a good parent, I have to work on myself first. So a lot of it was to the team of people I was able to surround myself with, along with the help with Mom Goes On as well.
Yeah, it's like whatever gets us in the door of taking better care of ourselves, even if it's I have to take care of myself to be the mom I want to be.
Yes. And then you start to see, oh, I like feeling, I was out of survival mode and had a regulated nervous system again for the first time in a long time. And it was like, oh, I recognize this person. This is great. I need to keep this going. And so now it's like, now I do it.
Yeah.
So it's a big
Love
part of
that.
it. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier that it's okay to feel your feelings has been kind of one of the big things for you. Yeah. The look on your face says it all. So what was it before you learned that your experience was like? Was there a worry about feeling feelings? Was there judgment about feelings? What was it like?
So I've come to this after much reflection and a couple of years of work. I think where I had gotten, because there was about a decade of losses and a lot of things going on, and then culminating with losing Chile, I think I had disassociated from those feelings, and I was living in my brain because my brain works really well and I can really compartmentalize things. And so by the time I met you, you could see it all over me the first time I did coaching with you. Um, and it wasn't working anymore to just use my brain. My emotions were oozing out of me. And, a lot of people, we use that pushing a ball down metaphor. I know you do. Um, my, not only was I trying to push a ball down, but the ball had become like a 2-ton weight. So I was at a point where um, either I was going to have to realize that there was emotions here and make sure I was feeling them, um, or it could have impacted health or my life or my children, all those different things. So I was definitely at that point where I had to do it. I just wasn't aware of it.
Okay. Yeah. You're just so used to the experience you were having and solving problems with your mind and staying in that space that, not
Yes.
even aware that there was another option.
Yes. I was crying. I was talking to friends. I'm feeling my feelings, but I really wasn't facing some things that I really needed to process it.
What attracted you to the idea of coaching as a way to make the changes you were wanting to make?
So I have invested in coaching since I was 30. I went through a really big, intensive Tony Robbins program, and he has very professional coaches. And it was such a changing moment for me because I was trying to shift from just being professionally focused to I really wanted the life with Chili and the kids and all the things. And so that really was transformational for me. And I really love with coaching, what the impact that I got from working through your program is you really helped us with our framework and the modeling of getting in touch with the fact that our thoughts create our feelings. And then there's a lot of things that come from that. And being able to break it down into that has really helped me a lot, and has given me a framework. I've also done a lot of therapy, especially as I'm diving into my feelings. And I think what I've noticed the difference between the coaching and the therapy is a lot of guided questions that allow me to get to what I'm feeling, and I can process it, and there's a little bit of help there. And with you, it just feels like we're digging in, and also there's with the coaching aspect, because of your background and because you're a widow as well, you've really put together a program that helps people move forward towards, it's like action oriented in a way too. It's moving us forward. I did participate in a lot of your retreats through the process, and that was very transformational for me. And I think you just know how to put us through that. This is my first time doing group coaching, and that to me was one of the biggest magic ingredients, because this is very intensive, personal, vulnerable work that we're doing. And a lot of times you feel alone in your life because there's not a lot of widows who are young raising children. And so, or that are in our circles. And so I found so much, I was able to process a lot of my own feelings by seeing our friends get their own coaching. And I was able to pull that meaning onto myself. And it ended up being a much more gentle way for me to start to move forward in ways that I needed to, without really putting myself into the work every week, and having to have that be a little bit more head on, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can see, this is what I think it is. You could see yourself reflected in other people and the experience you're having. And you might not even be speaking, but you're getting support because you're watching them get support. And it's so validating.
Yes. And then your community, everyone is just so open and supportive, and really there for each other too. And so there is that nurturing that happens through everything too, which is really special.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear you loved the retreats. I love doing them.
Yeah,
Even if it's like it's online, we're not even necessarily in the same room, but there's something about when we dedicate time to thinking about ourselves and examining questions that are, maybe questions we wouldn't be asking ourselves on a regular basis, and surrounded by people who are like-minded, and just kind of having this collective opportunity to assess and then choose and then create is, I think it's kind of magical.
it
Yeah.
is. And you also really ground us in a lot of things with um, props and gifts that you send us. And I have one up from the first one I attended on the things I wanted to bring into my life on my board, and it's all the things I have now, which is really, really
Oh,
cool.
I love hearing
So
that.
I was looking at that going, huh, we've got all that now.
How about that? I did that for
Yeah,
me.
I did.
Yeah.
So I had self love and compassion, joy, fun, trust, family, responsibility, and
Mm,
balance. And I think we're
beautiful.
all in that, really, that's in our new life now, which is really good.
Do you remember when you created that? Did that feel attainable, super far away, somewhere in between?
Yeah, I was in the early part to messy middle part of moving forward. And uh, I wasn't quite, I felt stuck before, felt kind of stuck for a few months. Like I was doing things and doing the next thing, and I wasn't getting where I wanted to go. And then it was almost like things just moved forward really fast. So it was well before that stuck feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But it really just kind of encapsulated the things that either I missed from my old life or I wanted present in our life. And a lot of it didn't feel attainable. Like um, joy felt really far away because we were in the middle of all the hospital stuff. And balance, I was not in the equation much. I was taking care of myself, but my moving forward and developing a life I love was really still on the back burner. So a lot of this just felt like a dream in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Since you are someone who is well accomplished and you've been career focused, I'm wondering what it was like for you in that. Um, did you feel pressure, or to what extent did you feel pressure to do grief right, to get yourself to a certain place in a certain amount of time, to get back to being productive? Like, what was that kind of A player mentality like for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I have a dear friend that I met back in the Tony Robbins days. She's been a widow now for 12 years. She's also a coach. She's just got this, she's always just been a great friend who you can just say anything to and she'll coach you through it. And this was 2 weeks in. I was like, how do I get through this? I need to get through to the other side of this and get us good. How do I do that fast? What do I need to do? And she was so gentle with me, but she's like, this isn't something you get through. This is gonna be your life, and
Mm-hmm.
let's shift your focus a little bit. So I was very focused on, I knew which grief groups to go to, I knew what therapists to work with. I did EMDR after my brother's passing. I did all these things. I know I can get through the grief and get us moving on. I can do
Mm-hmm.
this. And um, you know, looking back on that, I also just felt this incredible loss when I had to shift out of leadership and shift into the opportunity that I had, which was so much grace and such a gift. I'm back in that old role again. That's what I got to do for myself. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the job now with a different support system. And I'm a much better leader now, I think, because of everything. But um, I don't even do life the way that I did as that A player anymore because
That's saying a lot. Say more about
I've
that.
grown. I used to have a plan, just in control, perfectionist. always thinking ahead, anxiety, because I was always thinking through all the options. And through a lot of the work I've done, I've realized that it's good for me to have an idea of what I want, and have a dream, but it's better for me to be present in today and just keep doing the next right thing. And that has been serving me well. I don't get too far ahead of myself anymore, just kind of doing the next right thing. And then as a leader, it allows me to really connect with either a client or the team that I'm working with and really be empathetic and really consultative and all the things that I want to be. And that regulated nervous system is a huge part of being able to do all of that too. Uh-oh, I can't hear you now. I don't think that's my headphones.
How's that?
Okay, wait.
Okay.
I can hear you now. Okay.
Okay, good. Okay. What I was thinking is if we're going from a place of, not being very confident around our ability to feel feelings and living in our head, then so much of what we're thinking about in the future and all the scenarios that we're running are in some ways efforts to avoid things that we don't want to feel in the future. So when we get better at being in our bodies and getting more comfortable with the emotions, then that we don't have so much angst around what we might feel in the future because we have more confidence in our ability to allow it.
That is a perfect summary of definitely where I'm at. And I kind of feel like a turning point for me was our first coaching call. You asked me what would happen if you experienced the emotions and allowed them to happen, and it just terrified me. And you were reminding me that sometimes it only takes a few minutes for those to pass. Mm-hmm. And can you do a few minutes? And so I kind of felt like I was really in preschool when I met you on emotions. And I don't even know if I'm past in middle school yet, but I definitely know that this is what I'm working on now.
Yeah. And you're not alone though, right? Because so many of us have that. We're like, what? Yes. We just weren't taught. We don't have the capacity. And then they're unique experiences for everyone, but it's so common to worry. I'm juggling all of these balls, and if I actually allow myself to feel, I'm going to drop them, or I'm going to fall into the black hole, or what will happen? I may never come out.
And then it also, as only parents, it feels like there's a lot more on the line. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Got to hold it together for them. Got to, set the example, all of that.
Yeah.
When you think about what you've learned as a widow, what do you wish we talked about more? What do you wish we normalized more?
Oh, that's such a good question. I've never thought about. From a grief perspective?
Yeah, or just anything where you're like, like I see us so often in my clients, and I say it myself, where you have these experiences, and because no one's normalizing them, you think there's something wrong with you. And it's like, gosh darn it, if we could just talk about it, I wouldn't spend time trying to fix something about myself because I'm not the problem. It's a grief thing, or it's a normal thing. And I don't need to spend any time or energy trying to change it because I can now see that it's everyone. Like for me, one of the things I noticed was just that weirdness of knowing they died, but then expecting them to walk in the door and thinking, does that mean I'm in denial? Like, am I doing something wrong because because I know they died? I shouldn't be expecting him to come in any moment. It shouldn't feel like he's on a business trip. And now I know that, no, that's just the brain doing what a brain does in grief. We all do that. It's not about not accepting it. It's about the brain hasn't had enough time to catch up.
Right.
To make accurate predictions. But in the beginning, I was like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I don't really want to tell people that I keep thinking he's on a business trip or keep picking up my phone to text him.
Okay, so thank you for that example, because I do really relate to that. So one of the things that I've reflected on, because I've received compassion and support from people through multiple losses, and one of the things I recognize by living in the US, I don't know if this is the same in other places, we are definitely a melting pot with a lot of different cultures that come together. And with those cultures, everyone has different traditions and expectations around grieving and how things work. And I noticed that some of those cultural expectations really guided the way that I was receiving support. And then also, the way that people think about grief too. I think everyone falls back to that 5 stages that isn't helpful at all. And so, um, you do a really great job of advocating for a different way. And after this loss, I definitely gotten out of that context and realized that that's not it. So that's one thing I would love to see change. The other thing I'd love to see is there's so much knowledge now of the tie of our nervous system and just what your example of your brain looking for your husband to come through the door. And that's just a part of how our nervous system works. And that grief is also a physical thing. I knew that going into this, but this time, like anniversaries in particular, my body remembers sometimes before I realize why I'm off today. And I used to want to fix that or move forward, push through. And now I've learned that if I take the time to care for myself and feel feelings and be where I'm at, I can a lot of times move to the next day or so and return to normal again pretty easily. So I think that physical and then the nervous system and then the cultural part of it would be amazing if we could fix all that.
Yeah. And honestly, I do think this is how we do it. It's conversations like this. And the more we talk about it, the more it becomes mainstream, and then more people keep talking about it. And it gets better.
Yes, yeah. I hope so. So. But there are people who know how to do it.
Yes, there are people that know how to do it. We just need to give them louder microphones. I swear every time. I can't. What was it I was watching just a couple of weeks ago, something on Netflix. My daughter was with me and she knows how I get, but somebody started talking about the 5 stages again. And I just like, oh, would you stop? We just keep perpetuating. It wasn't even an old show. It was something new. He just smiles and laughs at me because I'm yelling at the TV. But anyway, eventually it'll shift. We'll start talking about the dual process model on television. I don't know. Okay. Great. Let's see. What else what else do listeners, what was it that you wanted listeners to know that maybe I haven't asked you yet about your journey or about something you think would be helpful?
Yeah. So I'm 4 years out, and I would say in the last year, so there was an episode of This Is Us about 6 months before Chili passed, where the mom gives this long speech because she's been diagnosed with dementia. And she's like, I want you to live your lives. We're going to move forward. Don't want this to interrupt you in any way. Right. And it was very inspiring. And after the night Chili passed and I was talking to the girls about it, I said to them, we've got to find a way. It's going to be really hard. We're going to do some hard work, but he would want us to dream big and move forward, even though it's so hard to do without him. And so we've been trying to do that. Right. And what I want listeners to know is it is possible to reimagine what's next for you. And even though it's so hard and there are still days and weeks and whatever where it is really hard, there is still places where there's joy, and there is a place where thriving exists, and a place where the person that you'll become, even though she's different than the one that lost her husband, where you can be really proud of that person and still see a future and all of that in such a great way. And when people ask how the girls and I are doing for the last year, my answer has been, we're starting to thrive again. And now we are thriving again. One of the biggest success stories is my 9-year-old is now 13. She's a normal teenager. And that to me feels like a huge success. Who grieves her dad and her life is different, but she's normal. She rolls her eyes and has her feelings and has all the sports and clubs and friends she wants. And to me, that's massive that we're at that place with her and that her sister's in college making her dreams come true and her health is doing so well. And I now have space for me. I'm starting to date again and I'm in my career that I love again. That's a big part of my identity. I have amazing friends around me. A lot of them were there before Chile. Some are new ones. And the community that I've developed from MGO, I have just wonderful friendships from that too. So there's hope. And sometimes you just need to get through the next hour and just keep moving, but, and do the work, but there's hope and there's a life that you love at the end.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. It's a very helpful thing to hear, because sometimes it is hard to imagine that that's possible.
Yes. And even now that I'm moving forward, some days it's hard to imagine.
Yeah.
And knowing that the other thing that was huge for me is you always encourage us to have our own back. And we make a lot of decisions now on our own. We make all the decisions on our own that we had a partner for before. And that has been one of the biggest things that has made a huge difference in the way that I can move forward is even if I made a decision that I find out later I want to shift, I've learned from it. It may not have been the right decision if Julie were there to make it with me. And it's just part of life. And so that's been kind of a cool thing too.
Yeah.
Okay, there's the cleaner.
Hi, cleaners. That's fun. Hey, it's real life here. We're not in studios. Yeah.
Yes.
Having your own back is a big deal. And it sounds like kind of a cliche. But I don't know about you, but I remember being so surprised at how much harder decisions were to make than I expected them to be and how much angst I had around that and the pressure that I put on myself. And so being able to know that you're going to take care of yourself, no matter how a decision turns out after you make it, you are going to be your own champion is a really kind of a big deal.
It's huge. And also it makes it so no matter where my future leads me, I feel really good about me being along for the ride. And if it's just me, I feel good about it.
Yeah.
Before I really wanted a companion and a partner, and I still do, but I'm really happy with my life right now.
And I think I'm so glad you said that also. As you were saying, and I'm dating again, I know a lot of times what listeners hear is, oh, this is the part where they tell me that I have to date again if I want to love my life. Or it feeds into that stuff that we've all picked up, from society. Yeah. So to know that, no, I actually did the work to like my life and be happy with where I was. And then I decided maybe I want to date again. There's so much of a different experience that we can create for ourselves when we do that.
Yeah, I also it was really important to me to do the work on, no marriage is perfect. And there are parts that I was self-reflecting on, and I wanted to take the time to understand some of the patterns that I was attracted to and some of the things that were happening, as with any marriage, and really wanted to do that internal work before I move forward too. So I never imagined it would take me 4 years to get to a place where I was ready to build my social life again. And I'm glad I took the time because I'm in such a good place to be doing it. And it's kind of fun to see what this time around looks like.
Yeah. Well, cheering you on. Thank you so much for being willing to come and share your story, Ann.
Thank you for having me. I'm hopeful that some of this helps people because so many people helped me along the way, including you. You're a total gift to this community. And I think that you really have something special here. So I'm really, really thrilled that I was able to do this with you.
Well, thank you. And I will also say thank you for what you contributed to our community, because you were so coachable. And I don't mean to, create a comparison with anybody else who's like, am I coachable enough? But you just always showed up willing to be honest and ask for support and really, just think things through. And so many people benefited because of the coaching that you requested and did, so that they could watch. And that, that's, I will miss that about you. I already do, but because it was a contribution. So thank you.
Yeah. The thing about moving forward is we graduate.
I know.
And move on to the next thing.
Which is a beautiful thing. And also, I can be sad about it too.
I know. I miss you too.
Yeah. All right. We'll keep in touch. Well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. Yeah. All right. All the best to you.
Okay. You too. Thank you so much.
If you like what you've been hearing on this podcast and want to create a future you can truly get excited about even after the loss of your spouse, I invite you to join my Mom Goes On coaching program. It's small group coaching just for widowed moms like you, where I'll help you figure out what's holding you back and give you the tools and support you need so you can move forward with confidence. Please don't settle for a new normal that's less than what you deserve. Go to coachingwithkrista.com and click Work With Me for details and next steps. I can't wait to meet you.